Hello, I'm Emily Anthony, and I had instructional strategies and accommodations for emotional behavior disorder, but I'm going to get started with instructional strategies. Before I start, I wanted to say I hope you all are well and are doing okay with this COVID-19 epidemic we're going through, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So for instructional strategies for emotional behavior disorder, some instructional strategies that I found that can be used with students for emotional and behavior disorder are guided notes, response cards, and clickers. So guided notes are a very easy technique for teachers to use to help kids with emotional and behavior disorder stay focused. Um, they're not very time demanding, so teachers can really just get this done and can really focus on other things as well. Guided notes can decrease the amount of things needed to be written down and shifts focus to what is being said, so the kid doesn't really have to focus on writing down, making sure they're getting the notes down, and stress about that. They can really just relay a lot of their attention to the lesson being taught. The student can allow what is being said and fill in the blanks as needed, so they can follow what's being said and fill in the blanks as they are needed. So they are not focusing on getting the notes down. They're more worried about what is being talked about. And to our right here is an example of a guided note worksheet. This is around a third grade example of a guided notes worksheet. It's about verbs, so kids can just fill in what is being said, but really focus on the lesson. Next is response cards. Response cards are cards used to help students display their answers or thoughts. Response cards are very cheap and easy to make. Students with emotional behavior disorder can really benefit from using these cards. Some positives of using response cards can be students will stay more engaged. Students really like that color. They're eye-catching and they're really fun, so the student can really get into it and have a response. And it's a really low-stakes environment as well. And they're super affordable for teachers to create themselves. All you have to do is print out a few pieces of colored paper. You can write on them. Some response cards are already made up for them. All they do is print them out and cut them out. And you can laminate them just to keep them longer and reuse them more often. But this is a very great, effective, and cost-efficient way to get students with emotional behavior disorder really into the lesson. Next are clickers. Clickers are a way of keeping students with emotional behavior disorder very interactive with the lesson being presented in class. It also gives them a way to see how they're doing, so the kid can test themselves when they have to answer that question, and it is a low-stakes environment. And it really keeps the students engaged because they have to really being followed what's being said. Teachers can also track students' understanding of content. So when kids submit that answer, it's normally through a program and it's normally displayed on a smartboard. Teachers can really see where the kids are at. Are they understanding the content being taught or are they not? It also gives the teacher an easy way of seeing what they need to go back and re-explain. It provides that opportunity of immediate feedback as well for the teacher. Next, I have some accommodations for emotional behavior disorder. Accommodations used with students with emotional behavior disorder are extra time, additional breaks, clarify, simplify, explain, or translate directions / test questions. So for extra time, kids with emotional behavior disorder can really get stressed during a test. They start to focus on other things. They might start getting nervous, so that extra time will allow them not to be rushed and they can really just take a step back and focus on the test. Also next is student provided with additional breaks. When the student starts to get caught up and starts to get emotional, they can take that extra break to step away from the test and to calm down and maybe use a fidget during that break, so they don't have to get all flustered and they can just focus. Clarify, simplify, explain, or translate directions / test questions. Kids with emotional behavior disorder can have an aide clarify things to them that might make them stress and cause them not to put full focus on the test. So if the aides are explaining something, they're not spending as much time getting stressed about it. They don't really get worked up because they have someone there that can explain what is going on to them. Next, I'm going to do an activity strategy demonstration. So get out a piece of paper. It can be line paper, printer paper, colored paper, construction paper, whatever paper you want to use, that's perfectly fine. draw a line across the halfway point through the piece of paper. You can go vertical, horizontal, it really doesn't matter. Go ahead and cut that. And then on one piece of paper, you will write yes, and on the other piece of paper, you will write no. So on the two pieces you're going to have, one will say yes, one will say no. A few questions will be asked, and you will answer using a response card technique. So my first question is, are you enjoying this quarantine? You can say yes, you can say no, and you just hold up your answer using a yes or no. Next would be, are you ready to go back to school? I'm sure the answer would be yes, but you can write yes or no. You can hold up yes or no. And that was my activity demonstration. So what we did there was we just used response card technique, and a few questions, and we just held up. If we thought yes, we held up the one with yes. If we thought no, we held up the paper that said no.